Good morning. This is John Harder with broadcast number 109. And today, the title, I haven't really changed the title. How to generate free energy and generate cash flow. But today I would like for us to differentiate between virtual reality and actual reality. So, what is a virtual reality? What is it that makes that makes a shadow seem like the real thing? Um, we are living in a world of the greatest deception ever. There has never in human history been a greater a greater amount of deception than what we're living in right now, and this is going to take us likely years to figure it out if that's how we're going to do it. But I was very intrigued yesterday as I spoke with my brother. We are planning to move to Mexico in a week, and here I found out something that has happened in Mexico. And you know what they say, what happens in Mexico stays in Mexico. Anyway, that was a sideline. but there's this city called Cheran, and the corruption in the government corruption was in that city just as much as it is in the rest of the country. And who knows, maybe even worse than in some areas. I don't know. But you know what I found interesting? The women of the city, they got fed up and they drove the government out of town. All of government, everything that was government out of town, they drove them out. And so they formed a new government after they had kicked everybody out. They formed a new government, and now it's one of the safest havens on the planet. And I found that very interesting, because that is what happened in Bolivia too some years ago. And this actually happened in 2014, I believe. So since then, it has been it's now a very friendly, very safe, a wonderful place to be. People are friendly. It's it's a different world. When are the rest of us going to catch on to do the same thing? Here in Canada, we have now had since 1931, we haven't legally had a government here. Our so-called contract with Britain expired in 1931, and since then they've just been how should I say, they have been pretending. They have been pretending that nothing changed. And it makes you wonder, how do we not tune in when it's so fake? You see what I mean when I say between reality or fake reality, or should I say a deception? When see all those years that I've been in Canada since 1975, to me, um, I was 18 years when I came to Canada, and one of the first things that I noticed was that here in Canada, that that there was an overabundance of government. There was way too much government here. Like, you practically had the government in your pockets. Here you had government in the kitchen cupboards. You had government in your drawers. You had everything is filled with government. You had to pay income tax. You had everything is every item you buy, everything is government. And you had this sort of feeling like, what is does the government know where you are at all times? Well, maybe they didn't at that point yet, but they're sure driving at that. And in reality, it's all fake. It's actually all fake. And we have been accepting lies as truth for all these years. It's exactly what was going on in Mexico, in Charan. These people in Mexico, they had their government who is there to protect the people. Yeah, oh yeah, they're in the name. They're in the name of the good of the people, collecting the taxes from the people, and they're all there in the name of the good for the people. But can we see through that? Are we so deceived that we cannot see that? Unfortunately, I have to admit, the Canadian people really are. They really are. They've been through the school system here, which has where they have learned to to place their allegiance to the flag, and yeah, and their books, everything is good. And yet the pressures are pushing tighter and tighter and tighter. At what point? At what point will we wake up? Right? At what point are we going to wake up? Now, I have been talking with with quite a few people about this, and well, there are actually a couple of people that I have talked to. They actually are aware of what's going on, but the question is, what can we do? What can we do? As if there is nothing we can do about it. Well, if we take if we take our, how should I say it? Maybe I'll say it again like I have before, where if we zoom out enough so we can see the reality, so we can see the truth, when we are in it, it's kind of like when you are in a picture, you don't know it, that you're in the picture. You can only see that you're in that picture when you look at the picture. When you are not looking at the picture, you don't think about it, that you're in that picture. You don't always have the concept that you are in that picture. but when you look at it, you realize that you are in it. And so the picture is fake. The picture is fake. It was taken, who knows? It was taken years ago. It's fake. It was at that point, maybe it was reality, but now it's just a picture. And now, if we have learned to keep putting our allegiance to that picture that used to be something, and we hold that as still reality today, at what point where are we going to zoom out enough and say, oh, that's not reality, that's just the picture from way back? Well, you see, that's basically where the Canadian people are at. They are in the picture, but they don't back off and look at it and say, oh, that was a picture from many years ago. It's and the picture has really changed since then. Many years ago, even though back then already, when I first came to Canada, I just thought it is so, the government is so intrusive on people's lives. And this has exponentially increased. And yet people they seem to be fine. They're fine with it. How long? How long are they going to be okay with it? Until what? Until they are completely uh, in literal prison? Like now it's virtual prison. We're basically in prison, but we're still we can still move around without, because we're not actually in a confined prison yard, but we are basically in prison. And this is how those people felt in Charan, in Mexico. That's how they felt. Their children were being kidnapped, and all of that. This pedophilia that has been going on everywhere, and they got fed up about all that, and they simply drove out all corruption. Now it's a wonderful place. Now it's a wonderful place. And this is where we need to wake up to. And I know that those of us who are in TBC, we have a huge edge over the rest of the people at this point, which we are trying to change. We are that's the reason for this here broadcast, is to help people understand the kind of a world that we're living in, and that we can create a new world. We can create a new world. There's people doing this, and actually, I was really impressed to learn, as I was watching some of those videos, and some of the videos about Charan, and as to what was going on. Maybe I'll actually share the screen for a little bit. Now, if you don't understand Spanish, well, I'm going to show a few just short little video clips about Charan. Now, I don't fully understand that language. I grew up in Mexico, and I grew up in a German community in Mexico, and wasn't exposed to the language, to the actual Mexican people. And but now, while we're moving back to Mexico, we're going to be living in a Mexican community. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be an awesome adventure. All right, so I'm going to share the screen for a little bit here. And I'm just going to go to YouTube, and I'm going to share a couple of clips from Charan, Mexico. So I'm going to go on YouTube here, and I'm going to type in, see, Charan. Sorry. Charan, Charan, isn't it Charan? Michoacan, Charan, Michoacan. That should get us there. Okay, so here is that city, and of course, it is sort of like it's not it. It's not that it looks like a very wealthy city. Of course, they have been impoverished all of the years, just like everybody else. But that is now changing in this city because of the
Muy bien, por si quieren conocer el dron, ese es el dron.
Actually, I'm gonna just go beyond that.
El domingo, entonces por si quieren pasar los domingos, pregunten por aquí por los niños para que ubíquenlos, y que ellos les digan, ay, está bueno el pozole. Pero está bueno, el pozole. Sí. Muy bien. Gracias. Y aquí, por ejemplo, ¿a dónde nos recomiendan?
Okay. Here's where I want to say something. We see these beautiful kids here. We see these beautiful children, and you know, just a few years ago, kids like this were being kidnapped. They were being kidnapped, and they were being, through this pedophilia system that's been going on with the Clinton Foundation. Yeah, some Clinton Foundation, right? But through that, and it breaks a person's heart to see something like that happen to children. And yet this has happened so massively these days. It's and we can do something about it. We can do something about it. This city has. And I wanna show something else here. Maybe I'll go to another video clip just for a little bit here, because
ahí en la panadería nos recomiendas. Está buenas. Y en las máscaras ahí que hay.
So here's another video of Charan. I was thinking maybe there was one that's I should have saved them that I wanted to look at, but I didn't particularly.
Juntamente con varios se escogen a la gente que va a estar trabajando en cada empresa. Las empresas comunales tienen mucha relación con el movimiento del 15 de abril del 2011, ¿no? Desde ahí es donde surgen todos los proyectos productivos. Yo creo que si no se hubiera dado ese movimiento, pues seguiríamos en lo mismo que se venía dando en las administraciones de los ayuntamientos.
Okay, so I wanted to show you that, but I want to just I'm going to go to Google Maps. I'm going to show us a little bit where that is. Maps, and type in Chiran. Okay, so still here. Still here from yesterday. Okay, so here is the on maps you can see that territory that is part of this area. Like this here is the area. Now here is the actual city, Chiran, but this here would be the township, as it were, the municipal, as they would call it in Mexico. And that's the area that is now actually a safe area to live. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that just absolutely amazing? And now I'll get out of this screen share for now. And okay, so Okay, so we can see that this can be done. We can change the world. Now, the first thing that we need to change is ourselves. If I can change me and I can influence someone else, that's two people changed. And if we work together, as I have just showed you, a city can be changed. And if a city can be changed, so can the next city. And so can the country. Are we willing to step up and change that first person that needs to be changed? Are we willing to step up and make the change? To change the inside of myself to a real reality instead of this shadow, this virtual, so-called, but in actuality, and create a reality where we can enjoy life. Now, for those of you who just came on, I'll actually stop and acknowledge those of you who are here. Mahalko88, thank you so much for joining me. I noticed you were here right away, and I apologize I didn't right away acknowledge you, but I appreciate very much that you're here. Dr. Joe Stevens, thank you so much. And by the way, I am really impressed with your toolbox. You did an awesome job. Wow. Wow. I thought I had done a pretty good one, and mine is, I guess, wasn't even good enough to stay on Kringles because it's been removed or something. I don't know what happened. Stephen Cuffey, thank you so much for being here, hanging out with me too. I appreciate it very much. And Chona as well. Thank you so much for being with me. Now, I just showed you I showed a bit of about the city in Mexico that actually drove out the government out of their city, out of their territory. Just like everywhere else, how should we say, the Soros funded propaganda and pedophilia and all of the worst evils that you can think of on humanity that's funded by George Soros is going on almost everywhere. And obviously it was going on in Mexico and Chiran as well. And these women got fed up, and they drove out all government out of their complete territory. And now they have their own sense of government in Chiran, in the Chiran territory. If you watch the rest of the video, I mean, if you go back from the beginning, you'll kind of see a little bit what I showed you there. But and as I was watching some of the videos about that, they were saying that there is that this is going on in more of South America. There are more cities and more countries that are beginning to act on this to clear out this corruption that is going on in all of the cities and so on. Wouldn't this be an absolute wonderful time to be there and share TBC with these people? And that's actually exactly what we're doing. We're moving there in about a week, and we're going to be sharing TBC with these people. So I'm excited to move to back to Mexico. I came from Mexico. I was born in Mexico, and to bring the people TBC, to share TBC with them, but also begin creating the free energy units that we've been talking about. Now, as we are in this talking about the free energy units, we're going to come up with a more inexpensive unit while we're developing the other, because it is very, how should we say, very involving to create those serial units that I was talking about, I have been talking about, and we're going to be working on that as well. But that's going to take a bit of more time to develop that. And in the meantime, there is something else we can already create that is much quicker and provides the same thing practically. It'll also provide free energy, and also irrigation systems, and many other things that we're going to be putting into motion, that is also going to be powered by a free source of energy, engines that don't need any fuel to run. Okay. Myself, I come from a background of invention, maintenance, and always inventing ways of making things more durable, stronger, and so on, from the how should I say, the fabrication industry. And so I have good background in inventing and creating things on the physical level, which, by the way, it's mostly not going to be me that's going to be doing the work, but my hand is going to be in guiding a lot, and that type of thing. But this is where we're going, people. We are bringing to this world free ways of powering things, and we're going to be making generator systems to power large greenhouses here in Canada and other places to grow avocados, to grow any tropical fruit here, so that it doesn't have to be picked way too green in the tropical areas and then sprayed with all kinds of poisons to try to keep it fresh enough to show up in the markets here, being filled with poisons and all kinds of preservatives. Instead, we'll grow it right here locally, and we'll be creating local communities where people are locally sustained themselves in local areas, not relying on all this trucking and this mass food production. So those are the kind of things. That's where we're going. And you know, I can't hardly wait to see a lot more of this happening. And everywhere we go, TBC is shared along with what we do. And in fact, increasingly, more and more of our products that we're building are going to be TBC purchasable. Okay, so from Mexico, I'll be reaching out on many other places where actually I already have some connections. So as I mentioned, I'm excited about this. And I can't wait to see a lot more cities that completely push out government out of their towns. And basically, I would love to see if they all became anarchists. If the whole world would become anarchy. Nobody would need to be afraid of anyone. We think that we need the government with a huge army to protect us. No, we don't. No, we don't. We are nice people. Everybody is nice people. The only ones that aren't nice are like people like Soros and basically the government. Why do you think it's called government? Govern, control, meant, mind. That's what it is. Mind control. That's what it's all about. So let's step out of this this so-called reality. Let's realize it's a picture. It's a picture. Zoom out enough so that we can see it's an old picture, and then start creating a reality. You know, burn that picture, throw it away, and then start living a real life. That's what they did in Charan, Mexico. And apparently that's beginning to go on a lot more in South American countries. I love it. I absolutely love it. I couldn't be happier about all that. And because Bolivia has driven them out completely as a country. Wow. Now there's a country to talk about. And apparently the Philippines did. Well, once the Canadians wake out of their how should I say, their a coma that they've been put into, maybe they'll do the same thing. Who knows? Let's see. We'll see what's going to happen in Canada. But I'll mostly be watching that from Mexico or other places. Now and then I'll of course be back here to visit and have some fun here, and then go back to where it's warm in the wintertime. I never did get used to the snow here. Anyhow, thank you so much for. Oh, I see a couple more people came on. Mosa, thank you very much for joining me as well. I think that's probably. I see some of you typed something here. So today my topic is basically about a virtual reality versus actual reality. And this virtual reality that I'm talking about is all of this fake stuff that's going on, where almost every government in the world, they are called government because of what they do. They are mind controllers, but they are there to pose as if they're there for us, for the people, but they are not. They are not. It's fake. They are not there for us. They are there for George Soros and for the elite. That's who they're there for. And this is what we need to wake up to. And as we do that, TBC is a how does Paul Fisher call it again? Is leverage. TBC is tremendous leverage to help us to replace the financial system. And then when we do that, then we're truly free, because that is how we're feeding these leeches that are feeding off of us, off of our sweat and our blood. It's through the financial system that they do it. So let's replace the financial system, and they will be, seriously, there's nothing they can do about it if we stop using their money. So thank you very much for hanging out with me. And for those of you who are watching this video and or this broadcast and are not yet migrated, folks, we got only about 6 days left. And now, whether admin is going to turn around and extend that, we don't know yet. It may be. I believe there are still quite a number of people who haven't migrated yet, but I, of course, don't really know how many have and how many haven't. I know that I have been helping a lot of people with that, but how many there is left, I honestly have no idea, really. But if you haven't migrated, it's time to do so. I mean, you know, because as far as we know, there's only 6 days left for doing that. And if you are new to TBC, if you haven't heard of TBC before, well, I have links under this video in the description. Do check them out. Find out what TBC is about. Educate yourself enough to know what we're doing. And if you're in tune with what we're doing and you want to come aboard and help people, if you have a passion to help people, well, TBC is about the biggest leverage you can have and use to help people in a real way, to create better lives for themselves and for future generations. Thank you so much for hanging out with me this morning, for coming along. You know, as they say in New Zealand, I actually kind of like that term. You know, thank you for coming along. I like that. It's awesome. You know, there's so much that we can learn from just sitting in on other people's broadcasts. It's amazing. You know, you find out new things about what's going on in the world. You find out new things about the blog. You find out all kinds of wonderful things, and not to mention the amazing ideas that many of you have come up with. I've been so impressed so many times about, you know, about things that broadcasters come up with. It's amazing. We have so much to learn, and I love learning. I absolutely love it. All right, thank you so much, and you all have a wonderful, wonderful